first of all, good morning ulit.
Good morning.
Prof, no, and the questions for you will be about fintech, obviously, and in relation to MSMEs. Now, una ko sanang tanong is, paano ba nakakatulong itong fintech sa MSME community?
Alright, so thank you first for allowing me to be here. So let me first be honest on the gap, because the gap is the whole story here. MSMEs are 99.5% of registered businesses. Around 63% of the jobs are coming from them, and roughly around 40% of GDP of the country are coming from them. However, the banking system has quietly decided not to top them, and it's not worth the trouble. In fact, as of mid-2024, around 4.5% of their loan portfolio book are allocated to MSMEs versus their 10% legal mandate. So it is not actually an incident or an accident, but it's actually a business decision wherein they don't want to risk their whole portfolio for these unsecured loans, undocumented, and unbankable class, right? So, and this is where fintech comes into the picture. Fintech is very narrow and specific, and in fact, they are doing the three real things. First, they are they are helping MSMEs to have records of payments. Of course, they have these payment rails, right? With GCash or other payment systems that we have. So they're allowing these fintechs to have this invisible and regular side hustles to have a documented process. Second, they are banking on the alternative data. So as compared with formal institutions, they are relying on documents, audited books. And with fintechs, they are only relying on the behavior, wallet history, and also the sales that's running through their wallets. And the third is, speaking of the record, this record allows the MSMEs to have their own proof that they can use when they borrow for a larger amount. So fintech is really doing the most thing in terms of helping the unbanked or unbankable. But what fintech doesn't do is fundamentally changing or showing that their business are viable. They're only removing the cost in terms of identifying which MSME or entities are worth it to receive such funding from these institutions.
You already mentioned GCash earlier. Do you have another example of a big fintech that's really helping, or that is really helpful for MSMEs right now?
So yes, so in fact, so I've been teaching fintech at AIM. So one of the companies that I've been watching is First Circle. So SEC registered, 16 years in the business, and they've been doing well in lending to microfinance. So they are solving the missing middle. So as we know, currently big banks are lending to large enterprises. Microfinance cooperatives are lending to the micro enterprises. But there is a middle. Only a few entities or financing companies that are tapping the middle ones. Loans that are ranging from 100,000 pesos to million pesos, undocumented, right? And they're solving that. In fact, so they're tapping this middle market, and they're proving that micro enterprises or small and medium enterprises are worth to receive such funding. So yeah, First Circle is doing their best. I'm seeing huge amount of booking as well, and their way of underwriting is also different as compared with the others. It's digital. They're proving that digital lending is viable or is commercially viable.
And that's probably where their technology is, not dun sa credit. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So from onboarding to processing, up to disbursement. It's all digital.
Now, despite these benefits that we discussed, a lot of the MSMEs are still kind of afraid in exploring fintech further. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, basically, they're not using the technologies. They're not exposed. So it starts with the awareness. So if you're not aware about the benefits of these entities and what you're seeing are all fraudulent scam issues out there, you're also resistant to go into transforming your business and adapting this new technology. Where in fact, their only aim is to only improve their business. So fintech, by definition, it's application of technology to improve and deliver financial services. So entities or enterprises that don't have access, particularly in far-flung areas, are now reached immediately. So you can identify that these companies right now, fintech companies are removing the barriers. So Philippines very our geographic status right now, and fintech is resolving that in digitalization.
Okay, so we know how beneficial it can be to the community. We know the risks or the reasons why they're afraid of still exploring it further. What then is your message to aspiring fintech developers or fintech owners? Yung mga magsa-start pa lang, what can you tell them?
It's a very interesting question. So just consider it as a stock. Okay. So from fundamentals up to more advanced fintech products that you can also use, okay, to grow your business. So the first is your collection. So what will you do with your earnings from your business if you cannot collect that, right? And fintech allows you to collect such. So there are platforms right now such as GCash for Business, Maya for Business, that allows you to collect. Okay, so a platform that mediates for you to collect payments such as Dragon Pay. So they are like an OT's over-the-counter payments right now. So instead of you sending someone else from building to another building just to collect your receivables, fintech allows you to collect that easily. Second, it's so we're done with the collection. The second is on the funding or lending. So if you run out of your credit lines with your existing lenders, then fintech allows you to also get more funding. Okay, there are a lot of options. So I mentioned about the GCash, but there are also for Circle, but there are also a lot of fintechs out there that helps you, okay, to get more funding for your business. The third one, it's the BNPL. We consider that BNPL. So buy now pay later, such as BillEase. What else? So wherein customers that you have that aren't capable of buying in bulk, they can buy it right now from you, and they can pay the BNPLs, the mediator, in installment. So imagine they can get orders, you can give them an order. So the stickiness availing your product, they're not going to any other suppliers anymore, but rather to you. They are now kinda attached. So the stickiness of your brand, of your product are already there. So, and what bridge that gap? It's the BNPL. So try to maximize that. In fact, not just only the MSMEs, large companies are also using that, such as Meralco. You can see there that buy now pay later, you can pay your dues in installment basis. So very disruptive right now, the role of fintechs in our economy.
Prof, baka you have a message as well to those who are thinking of a fintech itself that they want to develop, the aspiring fintech developers, yung gagawa pa lang ng fintech. What could you tell them if you have a message for them?
Oh, so one sentence: do not get in love with your solution or idea, but rather get in love with the problem, because the problem stays, but your idea will always change and improve. So if you stick to your idea, what if the demand is not anymore towards that? But the problem, the bigger the problem that you have, that you solve, and you solve that through fintech, the more money you can have, right? So that's it. Do not get in love with your idea, but get in love with the problem.
Fall in love with the problem, guys. Thank you so much, Prof. That's it for your quick
Thank you.
interview. Maraming salamat po.